Good morning, everybody. I know it's a Sunday morning, but good morning could have been better. Good morning. एक तो 2 साल के बाद मिल रहे हैं ऐसे पब्लिक में, right? So it's been 2 years since we have met. It's COVID. We have gone through COVID. We have gone through various situations then. So I welcome you all on behalf of Team Innovators. It's an honor and privilege to be here with all of you. People have traveled from across Pune city, across Mumbai to be here. So I'll just, take you through some glimpses of what we want to do or what we are doing currently. And how many of you all are aware of this 4-minute barrier? Or how many of you know what is this 4-minute barrier? Anyone? Yeah, getting it, of course. So it was, always thought that a mile cannot be run in under 4 minutes. And many people tried to do it but could not achieve it, could not do it, they were unsuccessful. They never could try and break that barrier of 4 minutes. And then there was a person named Roger Bannister. In 1954, he broke this record. Now, it's not important of what happened. He broke the record under all adverse conditions. So it was a very bad windy day. It was not the right sort of track to run that 1 mile. People had always said it cannot be done. People were trying, testing, never done. And this person broke it on 8th May 1954. And it was just a shade under 4 minutes. So hardly a fraction of 10 seconds that this was broken. Now why is this important, or what happened after this? Within next 1 month, another person broke this record. And within next 1 year, 4 people broke the record. And over the period of last 50 years, there have been thousands of people who have broken this record. So there's not been that, even if I say, okay, physically people have become better now so they can break that record, it's not that. Within a year, if people can break the record, it means it was all there in the mindset. That everybody thought that this cannot be broken, that this cannot be touched. And that's the reason where they see someone else do it, then they say, oh, okay, if this person can do it, even I can do it, right or wrong? And this simply sometimes happens with us also. Again, right or wrong? We believe, and this is what we have seen over the past 2 decades that we have been in the industry. All of us come with around 20 years experience individually, and last 10 years we have been in Innovators together. So when we used to start speaking in 15-20 years back to clients and tell them, you're going to need 2 crores as a corpus for your retirement, and people used to say, क्या बात कर रहे हैं? 2 crore? बहुत हो गया, मैं तो retire हो जाएगा 50 lakh पे. This was what we were hearing, speaking in 2003, 4, 5, even up to 2012, 15. तब तक that figure used to be a taboo, or it used to be such a huge figure, people thought we are not going to achieve it. And today, it's out of the mind. A crore is just like any other amount today. So this is something which is very, very interesting. Now, it's not about the barrier of 4 minutes only, or it's not only about mindset. There is another thing that plays. Look at these 2 cricketers. Both very, very talented. Rather, Vinod Kambli is supposed to be more talented than Sachin Tendulkar. Look at the track record. So if both of them started their career together, and assume that they are stocks, people who love stocks. Assume that they both are stocks. At that point of time, everybody would have put the money on Vinod Kambli, right? Because he was a stupendous performer. He hit 2 double test centuries in no time. He played only 17 tests. His average was around 54. Test and ODI both put together, he played around 121 matches. But it was pure flamboyance, indiscipline, which led to his fall. Look at the other side. Sachin Tendulkar, Test and ODI 663 matches, more than 34,000 runs, 200 tests. First test century came after 10 years of his cricket. So what went right there was pure discipline, consistency, and if I may add, just be in the game. He was just there for 20 years. Just by being there, he's been able to score this. Of course, he's enhanced his skills. Whenever he did a mistake, he sort of corrected them. He went and did things differently. He fell in, he came back. All of that happened. But is it not how that works with us also in life and wealth management, right or wrong? That's what works for us also. So what we did, we wanted to test whether what we are doing is right or wrong. And we wanted to validate that. So we said, let's go back 10 years back. And we went 10 years back and checked our records. And we had a data analysis of our records. This is an interesting data that came across with us. 2012 से लेके अभी तक, prior to 2012, so we took all the clients as on 2012 who were with us and who are still with us and what has been their journey. So there were 832 families at 2012 when we started, or before this also. So when we took that, we have taken a decade as a turning point. The people who had mutual fund investments with us in the bracket of 1 crore to 5 crore were only 3. You go below 50 lakhs to 1 crore were 7, 25 to 50 were 14, 10 to 25, 45, 365 and less than 1 lakh 398. And we looked at what has happened to them over the last 10 years. And this is purely because, and again, I would say very clearly here, we are not people who sort of identify the best funds. I don't know which is the best fund. It is not about every year we are turning portfolios, we are moving out from one another. Nothing of that. With all the hiccups, with all the ups and downs, everything happened. We checked what has happened to them in 1/1/2023. And this is the picture. So 1 crore के ऊपर हमको एक bracket बनाना पड़ा, 5 crore and above. And there are 12 families in that league now. In the 1 crore to 5 crore, there are 107 families now. And these are all these clients who are moved here. I'm not talking of new additions in the last 10 years. There are people who have come in last 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, 4 years with big amounts. I'm just talking of last 10 years. Look at the movement that has happened. The average multiple is 13 times. So anyone who came to us 10 years back has multiplied his wealth only in mutual fund 13 times. With completing his goals, there have been goals that have been achieved, there have been money that has been pulled out for certain aspirations, some goals, some requirements, some emergencies, everything. Whereas the Bombay Stock Exchange has given around 3 times. So even if I remove the investments done by them, so let's say we say कि नहीं investment क्यों पकड़ना है, इसमें तो market का impact देखना चाहिए. So even if I remove that, if I remove the purchases done in the last 10 years of all these clients, it's still 6 times. Now what I'm trying to say here is, this is the last 10 years. There's no point, and we keep telling you कि past performance मत देखिए और हम इधर past performance का बात कर रहे हैं, right? What we are trying to show here is, we have kept up 2 more columns up, which are vacant today. We want all of you to move there now. We want you to go to the 50 to 1 crore, 100 crores and above. And God willing, there should be another one which should go 1,000 crores and above. How many of you all are with me? Nobody's interested. Again, everybody is thinking this is impossible. Right? It is possible. We need to work towards it. We need to, just be there. And that is the reason why we measure success not by what we have done. So this was just a glimpse to tell you that this is what has been happening. But what exactly we do, or what exactly we measure success is by goals that have been achieved. People have done early retirements. People have left jobs and started their own ventures. एजुकेशन के लिए पैसा निकला है, मैरिज हुआ है बच्चों का. 2007-8 में जो पेरेंट हमारे पास आए थे बोला था कि अगले 15 साल में मेरी बेटी का शादी होने वाला है, उसके लिए कितना लगेगा. हमने बोला 50 लाख लगेगा. वो 30-35 लाख उस दिन उसने शादी पे खर्च किया. They feel happy. The goal is achieved. So all this is happening with us, and this will continue more faster now. There's been a smooth transfer of wealth to next generation. And one important point that has happened is in the last 2 years, specifically during the COVID pandemic, there were many families of our friends or clients who were suffering because of unfortunate losses. So we've helped them also sort of get everything in place, get everything in order, not purely for any business or anything purpose. It's purely our responsibility, which we said we will take care of everything, and we have done. We have assisted around 225 families for that purpose during that period of last 2 years. Purely people who have lost their families and they needed some support and transmission, documentation and stuff like that. So this is what Finnovators is, and we thank you for your full-fledged support that you have been giving us. Keep giving it, keep giving us feedbacks, keep giving us love, keep coming for events like this. So today, just before I leave, I want to just put across what we are, how this event has been curated, or what is the whole purpose of this event. I've given you the past 10 years data of what has happened, and every time we have been hearing, ये अगले 10 साल में भी होगा कि नहीं होगा, या अगले 20 साल में होगा कि नहीं होगा, मार्केट कल क्रैश हो गया तो क्या होगा. So we are sort of looking at very, very short term. Today's speakers are probably going to give you that whole perspective of where the country is moving, what's happening at the ground level. We have fantastic speakers lined up for the day who are going to speak on different aspects. They are people from the ground. So we don't want to have somebody who's just a motivational speaker and motivate you. We want you to understand the ground reality of what's happening in India, what is happening at the government side, why is the manufacturing side looking so attractive, what is happening at the startup phase. So that's the whole way where we have come with this particular theme for this year. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and thank you very much for patiently hearing me. Back to you, Rahul. Thank you.
To the entire country, society, civilization that we call India, which is also known as the elephant of the East, is what our final speaker is going to present. The theme of his topic is "This Elephant Will Dance." And he's an extremely illustrious and much honored and veneered personality who has been conferred with the Padmashri by the government of India. He was born in a freedom fighter's family. The family occupation was agriculture. He's been a chartered accountant of great standing and repute for 39 years. He's authored books on taxation for students and professionals. He's part of the government advisory board formed to revive Satyam Software, as we know, a multi-thousand company which crashed. The government had to revive it. He was one of the people leading that revival effort. He has addressed renowned institutions, not just in India but abroad, like Chicago University in US, Warwick University in UK, Southern Queensland University in Australia, and he has served as chairman of Canara Bank for 5 years. He is currently a member of the Reserve Bank of India Standing External Advisory Committee for evaluating applications for universal banks and small finance banks. He's also now the chairman of IDBI Bank, and he's on the board of Mahindra & Mahindra, Tech Mahindra, National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development. He has been the recipient of the CNN IBN Indian of the Year Award in 2009 and conferred award which he received at the hands of the Honorable erstwhile Prime Minister, and has been conferred with the civilian honor of Padmashri by the President of India on 7th April 2010. He'll share his views on how India is poised for growth and breaking the myth that elephants can dance. This elephant will dance, presenting Padmashri T N Manoharan. Big round of applause, please.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Very pleasant good afternoon to all the ladies and gentlemen assembled here. It gives me immense pleasure to be part of this 10th anniversary event of Finnovators. I must at the outset congratulate the conceptualization of such a program for the clients, customers of the entity, so professionally planned and meticulously executed. Thanks for the wonderful introduction that was given. Just for the benefit of those who did not follow Satyam Computer's story closely, And youngsters, maybe who were not aware of that episode, let me clarify that I became director of Satyam after the scam, not before the scam. So that you should understand it in right perspective. In fact, when we walked in as government directors to revive Satyam, the gravity of the situation, the magnitude of the fraud was so severe that nobody had any hope of turning around that company. We went with an optimism, but there was so much of uncertainty. In fact, we had no designations. We were just a 6-member team nominated. So we used to chair the board meetings in turns. And every week we had board meetings. We had 22 board meetings in that span of 100 days. Every week board meetings, and some board meetings spanning over 2 days. So in the third board meeting, when I was chairing, every chairman of that board meeting will turn out to be the spokesperson for media briefing after the board meeting gets over. So I had to face the journalists and brief them subject to confidentiality, all those things, and what could be disclosed. And then the question and answer. One of the journalists stood up and said, Mr. Manoharan, this is all fine, but you are all temporary directors nominated by the government. Satyam is a sinking ship. What is that you are going to achieve as temporary directors? The emphasis on the word temporary was very significant. But with all humility at my command, I responded to him saying, we are all temporary in this world, but we can build institutions which are permanent in this world. We can resurrect companies which will have eternal existence with excellence. We can follow principles which will last for generations, and the values that can be successively adopted century after century. So, which means we are all mortals, but institutions, principles, values need not be. Yesterday, when I asked Balveer on what united all the 7 of you to form this entity and carry on so meticulously, one underlying factor they said was succession planning. And that is why, may these innovators, which is serving all of you, carry on their mission for generations to follow and also deliver quality services to all of you. Doctors used to mention, every year you must have a master health checkup. I think innovators, you got the benefit of innovators. I think you should do annual wealth checkup, master wealth checkup, so that in all segments of your portfolio, you will know where you stand. Now, coming to the topic, India is a gigantic elephant. At some point in time, it was sleeping. It got woken up. Now it has stood up, but it is a long way to go to the level in which all of us expect it to be. But that is not far away. That is the perception with which I am going to demonstrate how India is going to dance, though in spite of all the constraints it is facing and the challenges it is facing. This overview of Indian economy, India as a country, the strengths it has, is demonstrative of its potential, immense potential. A lot was mentioned by my predecessors as to its capabilities, the youth, the demographic, composition as to how it is advantageous and all that. And in fact, it was also mentioned we must give jobs to the youth. To put it differently, we have in abundance the youth, because we are the youngest population. American population stagnated, European, Australian is declining, Chinese, Japanese is aging. India is the only country in which there is phenomenal young population. So to that young population, there are plenty of opportunities, not only in India, but also in the rest of the world. What we need to do is, to put it differently, youth are there, opportunities are there, jobs are there, emerging sectors are there. What we need is to match the skill sets. Today they are unemployable. Whoever is unemployable should be made employable. So if that skill campaign is happening, but if it is taken to its logical conclusion, I think this largest youth population of India, the demographic composition will turn out to be a demographic advantage, and we can prevent the demographic disaster. So that is one thing that can be highlighted. But in terms of infrastructure, innovativeness, this Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council is monitoring and piloting 9 missions, right from artificial intelligence to electric vehicles, waste to wealth, and Agni. Agni is accelerating growth of new India's innovation. So all those things are happening, because of which India's ranking in innovation index has drastically come up within the top 50. Similarly, digitalization. What was initially triggered by demonetization in 2016, because that was a period when people got accustomed to digital banking. And COVID has facilitated further acceleration of digitalization and virtual, mode of operating and transacting. And, G20 presidency, raising the prominence of India across the globe. And no country, no multinational corporation can ignore India because of its huge consumer market, the domestic market it possesses. Similarly, global competitiveness. In fact, the reforms that are happening, a mention was made by Prasant. In spite of the election year, next year, the budget avoided freebies. And another thing that is happening is technology is being extensively used to minimize or eliminate corrupt practices also. For example, tax department. Corruption used to be galore, but now faceless assessment has come. Earlier it was heartless assessment, now it is faceless assessment. So to that extent, technology has come in the way of achieving both, because officer doesn't know whose case he is dealing and assessee doesn't know who is processing. And the fact remains that in 48 hours, sometimes you get the refund, giving a pleasant shock. Whereas in the past, you have to run from pillar to post to get the same refund. And attractive investment and tourism destination. India is emerging as the most attractive country for global investment. In fact, the Davos meet where CEOs converged and discussed, it seems the code language was ABC for investment. What is ABC? Anything but China. So if the globe is moving towards anything but China, what is the other option? Maybe you can talk of Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia, all that, but their size cannot absorb even 10% of the global investment potential. India is the only elephant, the giant, which can attract, which can sustain, and therefore we are the next emerging, evolving, fastest growing developing economy, which can reach the status of developed economy very soon. And what was not done in the early days, which is now being focused for the last 6, 7 years, 8 years, I would say, is manufacturing sector. Rightly, agricultural sector is also getting its importance, but India was primarily driven by service sector growth. And but whereas the shift should have been in a balanced way among all the 3 sectors, manufacturing, agricultural, and the service sector. That's why in the past, the workforce also imbalance was there. Agricultural sector, which was contributing hardly 16% of GDP, had almost 60% of the working population, which means unproductive, underutilized. And whereas agriculture should be mechanized, right from using satellite to all the gadgets, modern ways of cultivation, on one hand irrigation, then 1/3 of whatever was produced was perished, not consumed, because lack of distribution network, lack of storage, cold chain facilities, preservation mechanisms, all that is now being built as part of the infrastructure. And therefore, the right sizing of the workforce is also automatically happening. And when the economy is driven or shifted from focusing merely on service sector to manufacturing sector, poverty alleviation also happens faster. For every one job that is provided in manufacturing sector, there are 4 ancillary jobs that are automatically created by the ancillary units. So from that perspective, China could alleviate poverty because of their manufacturing sector philosophy. Now India is adopting that style. Therefore, we are bound to bring down the population which is below the poverty line considerably in the near future. And startup ecosystem. India is the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world, next to US and China. And we had, hardly less than 5,000 startups in 8 years ago, but now we have 84,000 startups recognized and registered by the government of India and getting funding. And when such a huge phenomenal increase is there, there are bound to be corrections. That's what is happening, because some of the startups are struggling to get funding. Many are thriving well. We went up to 108 unicorns, $1 billion valuation. Because of the market crash, some of them came down below 1 billion and now it is 82 or so. But nevertheless, subject to all these corrections that are happening, at least the youth in this country have realized, why should I be job seekers? Why not I be job providers? By become entrepreneurs. Why should I be readers of history? Why not I be creator of an history? That mindset, entrepreneurial mindset has been rightly planted in the mind of the youth. Therefore, this startup ecosystem is something which cannot be prevented from becoming a very attractive proposition for India's journey. Can you believe this kind of a press release by 3 presidents? President of USA, President of France, and Prime Minister of UK, being released in their media, quoting India's purchase order of Airbus. India has placed 470 aircraft order, which has triggered President of US Joe Biden to issue that thanks to India, we are able to create so many jobs in USA. This is the power of India's growth trajectory. And look, in fact, they used to say 2-3 decades ago, American parents used to tell their children at the breakfast table, children, eat well, because millions of Indian children are starving out of poverty without this meal. Now the same American parents are compelled to tell their children, study well, otherwise millions of your jobs will be taken away by Indian children. In fact, most of the multinational companies in US, as we know, the CEOs are from India, Indian origin. And now the parents of India, who are deputing their children abroad, they can be surprised by any higher position they occupy, even if required, as the Prime Minister of UK. That has given them an idea that you be open for any position, not necessarily for a CEO in a company. So that is how India is getting prominence. This is just to give you a glimpse of how things are shaping and happening in divergent areas and sectors. So in terms of increase in exports or empowering India's various segments, forex reserves, how it is growing and increasing. And similarly, in terms of power and transportation, because these are all infrastructure development for which the government is giving utmost focus. That is why CapEx allocation has tremendously increased budget after budget. And in terms of not only that, the inclusive growth, because many of the social problems or anti-social activities arise because of the gap between the rich and the poor. Now the focus is to bridge that gap and provide an inclusive growth. For that, while on one side there should be no freebies and there should be empowering entrepreneurial skills, on the other side, for the downtrodden, there has to be provision of the basic necessities. That is why in terms of households, providing drinking water, and also the sanitation. All those things are also side by side attended to, because there is no point in one section of the society advancing and the other section of the society being left out. Then in terms of the telecom and the digital banking, there is a phenomenal increase thanks to UPI, Unified Payment Interface, RuPay card, fintech, all those revolutionary advancements. The MasterCard credit cards have lost their sheen or attractiveness in terms of making payments. And in fact, JAM Trinity is the greatest advantage for India. JAM is Jan Dhan Yojana accounts. Those who never had bank accounts, 47 crores have been brought into the banking system. So that even this direct benefit transfer also is happening to their bank account. And Aadhaar card, almost 100% Aadhaar ID has been provided. And the last one is the mobile connectivity. A record number of connections. Though we have population close to 1.4 billion, number of mobile connections are 1.5 billion. And out of that, 600 million are having smartphone users list. And network, internet banking, all those things are, phenomenal increase. So therefore, this is one area where, the JAM Trinity is providing great advantage. In the recent budget, Finance Minister said, for commercial transactions, we are going to use common identity, which will be PAN, permanent account number, which is also indication that the number of taxpayers have grown phenomenally thanks to GST. GST, though it is an indirect tax levy, that has helped to capture and improve the base of income tax. Many who did not pay taxes have started paying tax because of GST on the income tax front. So that data also, PAN, in fact, when PAN was introduced in a primitive stage, many were not applying, not getting PAN. So I was invited along with the CBDT chairman to tour the country to create awareness that people should obtain PAN and become taxpayers. And one lady in that meeting stood up and asked the CBDT chairman, everywhere I'm being asked husband's name. But why in PAN application you are asking father's name? Actually, CBDT chairman was not the person who designed the form. He did not know why it was done like that. But at least he had the presence of mind to tell that lady, madam, permanent account number deals with permanent things. And normally father doesn't change. So now coming to the socio-economic parameters. India was nowhere in the top 10 till 2010. In 2010, we managed to push Canada to the 10th position and jumped into the 9th position. In 2015, we overtook Brazil and Italy to become the 7th largest, from 9th to 7th. Then later we overtook France in 2018 to become the 6th largest GDP economy by nominal size. Then in 2020 March, we almost pipped UK, but then the COVID lockdown happened. We again slipped. But last year, 2022, we overtook UK to become the 5th largest GDP size economy. And we are now 3.18 trillion US dollar size economy. Why I am emphasizing on this point is, if you study USA and China, their growth trajectory, see 1 trillion, each country has taken its own journey, struggles, challenges, bottlenecks, duration to overcome, to achieve 1 trillion. So that is not worth comparing. But from 1 trillion to 2 trillion, how many years US took? It took 8 years. How many years China took? 7 years. From 2nd trillion to 3rd trillion, how many years US and China took? Both of them took 5 years. And after 3 trillion, what was the track record? If you analyze both US and China, US took added 1 trillion every 2 years. And China added 1 trillion every alternative year. That means 12 months to 18 months was enough for China because of the wide base of avenues and potential that could be tapped. They grew faster. So India attained first trillion in 1997 and second trillion in 2004. 2007 first trillion was achieved, and 2014 second trillion was achieved, which means we also took 7 years like China, from first trillion to second trillion. When did we touch 3 trillion? In fact, we also touched 3 trillion. As I said, we almost pipped UK. So 2019-20, so 5 years. We also took 5 years from second to third trillion. But unfortunately, this COVID came and we put a pause button. Now we have set a reset button. That is why we are able to overtake UK. So from now on, now that we have crossed 3 trillion, every alternative year, and if not every alternative year, at least at par with the US, every 2 years, we are capable of adding 1 more trillion to the GDP. And when that happens, by 2020, it is expected, other economies also will be growing. It is expected that by 2027, we will overtake Germany. 2029, we will overtake Japan to become the third largest, and then we'll start competing with China and US in a triangular contest. So this is going to be the potential and the future dynamics of the global economies among top 10 countries. But the point we have to, which government is focusing, because we cannot be complacent and take it for granted merely based on these numbers. Let us look at from the other end. Competitive index, as I mentioned, we have come below 50 ranks. So 37th rank. Global innovation, 40th rank. And ease of doing business, 63rd rank. And global health security index, 66th rank. So these are all very impressive because they are growing very fast. We are advancing very fast. In fact, COVID scenario, no other country in the world has managed as efficiently as India could manage with such a huge population. You know the struggles China is still undergoing. US, even today, they are writing in a paper about the dosage being administered to a member, citizen. Whereas we are able to click and generate and anytime download. So the number of dosages India has administered to India's population is 220 crores. Not only we administered 220 crores completion of dosages, we have exported to 101 countries 23.9 crores of dosages to support the neighboring countries, small countries in the world who were dependent on others, who did not have manufacturing ability or facility. So that is why, health security also has phenomenally gone up. But where we have to move ahead is Human Development Index, Happiness Index, and Per Capita Index. In top 10 countries, while we are very impressive on the nominal size, look at the per capita income. $2,257 US dollars is our per capita, country's per capita income. And whereas the next highest is 12,000, China. And the topmost is US 70,000. So which means in another 5 years, as we are talking about 5 trillion, we should double it. We should reach at least $5,000 per capita income. And then it has to keep accelerating and propelling. But all these things, I am confident will happen as a corollary to all the initiatives and reforms that are being implemented. But I want to focus on one thing for the rest of my talk, because India is not just India away from the population of India. India, we are India. Each one of you is India. And therefore, what matters the most is In fact, Prime Minister was asked, how will India progress? Prime Minister said, if each Indian takes one step, India will take 1.4 billion steps. And that is how progress can be achieved, cumulative progress. Similarly, this happiness index, how India as an elephant can dance only when its population has the best of happiness index. That's why Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam said, don't measure your country's progress by only GDP, gross domestic product. Measure it by GDH also, gross domestic happiness. How good you are. In fact, Nepal does that. Nepal measures by GDH. So from that perspective, let me, now connect India with you and you with my talk. I've given 3 examples. I am happy to find the different age composition in this audience. Therefore, I'm enthused to factor this portion of my talk as part of the topic. Lance Armstrong, he was a champion of Tour de France cycling race. I think 6 years consistently he won the championship. But later he was stripped of the medals. Why? Because of deficiency on the value system, moral deficiency. Now, Boris Becker, Wimbledon champion, winner of so many Grand Slam titles, he had to sell his trophies to sustain towards the end because he became insolvent. He did not have the services of innovators. Financial indiscipline or lack of awareness or whatever it is. Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian in the history of Olympics, in the history of humanity. He had, before this Tokyo Olympics, India had 28 medals from Olympics. Michael Phelps also had 28 medals. One individual, 23 gold, 3 silver, and 2 bronze. So most decorated Olympian in the world was battling out of depression and struggling not to commit suicide. Why? Emotional imbalance. Now, all these things drive us to ask one simple question. Let me explain it by an anecdote. A teacher in a classroom told the 30 students, I'll give you an assignment, simple assignment. I'll ask only one question. You have to write one-word answer. So the question she asked was, what do you want to be in life? She collected all the 30 answer sheets after 10 minutes and started looking at the answers. Some said doctor, chartered accountant, advocate, engineer, architect, pilot, scientist, nutrition, social activist, politician, all kinds of answers. Teacher was so happy. Her students had so much of divergent aspirations. But when it came to one answer sheet, she was stuck up. She was perplexed. She called the student and said, what have you written? I think I've asked you, what do you want to be in life? You have written happy. I think you have not understood the question properly. The student politely replied, Miss, I think you have not understood life properly. Because being a doctor or a chartered accountant or an architect is a profession, is a vocation, is an occupation, is a source of livelihood. But that is not everything in life. There is life beyond that profession. Whatever you do, you will have to ultimately ensure that you have not done anything at the cost of your happiness. So ultimately, irrespective of what you do, you should be happy. And you should enjoy what you are doing. That's why, the best of successful people in different walks of life, when they were asked what success really means, they have said success must be measured by how happy you are. And Maya Angelou says it is liking what you do, liking yourself and liking how you do it. Warren Buffett says, how many people love me? That is the parameter based on. Narayana Murthy of Infosys said, when I walk into your room, how many faces smile appears? I would measure that as my success. And Michelle Obama says about her husband, it is not about money making as an indicator of success. It is what difference you made to people's lives. All these messages, what does it include? Actually, the preliminary understanding of human life is, if I am successful, I'll be happy. No. Being happy itself means that you have been successful in life. That is how we'll have to understand the philosophy. There are 4 segments of each human being's life. One is the family and relations. This is a very, very critical and important segment of human life. We are not robots. We are social animals. And therefore, this is a very, very important element and component. Similarly, we have profession, job, or business, whatever we do as a source of living or as a passion. So that is another important segment. For these two, the adversary could be ego. I mean, if you have ego, both the places, you cannot be successful. Or rather, at least you cannot be peaceful. But if you eliminate ego, then you can be smooth and navigating in these 2 segments, widely acceptable. What is ego? Actually, my definition of ego is when you, for example, Satyam, Padmashri, all that was mentioned. I don't know whether still I deserve it, but when Padmashri was given, Satyam was turned around. If I believed that I did it, that is ego. But if I thank Almighty, thank you God for giving me the opportunity and using me as a tool along with other team members to make it happen and, bring out what little potential I had and give all credit to the Almighty. That means I am giving the entire credit to God and I am not loading it to my head to get arrogant, isn't it? So ego is edge God out. In each of us, there is a divinity. That God, if you edge out, then you start believing you are responsible for everything you are capable of achieving. You never give credit to the divinity within you. So never edge God out. Retain divinity within you, then you will never feel like claiming credit. Then the other 2 segments are health. Health, people say, health, if health is lost, everything is lost. It is so critical. And during pandemic, we saw how significant the fitness, health, immunity, all those things are important. Then value systems. See, Satyam again is a classic example where by sheer vision, competence, hard work, you can go to the top. But you need the integrity to stay there. Without it, the fall could be mighty. So that is why value system is another important segment. Now I'm going to ask you one simple question. You need not answer me at all. Just answer yourself. I've showed you, 4 segments of life. One is family and relations. Another is your profession or occupation. Third is health. 4th is value system that governs your life, that you practice. So these 4, symbolically, I want you to assume as balls. Balls, symbolically balls. So each human being is carrying all these 4 balls all through your life. Now the question is, among these 4 balls, only 1 ball is made of rubber. The remaining 3 balls are glass balls. Now you answer to yourself, which one of these you treat as glass ball? Automatically the other 3 will become, one is rubber ball, automatically other 3 will become glass balls. You did not answer. I'm going to give the answer a little later after 1 or 2 slides. Actually, Dalai Lama was asked an interesting question. What wonders you about man, about humanity, about man? His answer was, man himself is a wonder. Because first half of his life, he sacrifices his health to earn the money. Next half of his life, he sacrifices the money earned to recuperate his health, which he lost. He is so anxious about the future, he does not enjoy the present. With the result, he neither lives in the present nor in the future. But if he lives as if he is never going to die, but ultimately dies without actually living the life. This is the way in which he put it about ordinary human being who chase. In fact, I think I have a slide. So this is how he described it. See, we have read in history that Gautama Buddha, there is Siddhartha, deserted palace in search of peace. But there is a section of population who are always deserting peace in search of prosperity. So that is an element that can be hampering the happiness of a human being, peace of a human being. So in that context, we'll have to look at it. Now, what are the major three problems we suffer from? I mean, there are any number of problems, but condense and put them into three major. In young age, time will be there, energy will be there, money will not be there. In fact, even if you are rich enough, don't give money to your children. Some parents, because they are not able to spend quality time with the children, to compensate, they give more pocket money, which is very dangerous and risky. So invest time, not money, on the children. Always make them need-based supply of resources. Middle age, you will have energy and money because you are busy, you are in profession, you are coming up, but you won't have time. This is generally what they say, no, I'm so busy, I don't have time. In elderly age, you will have time and money, but you may not have energy. But nothing to worry, because depending on the gradual phasing down of energy, the activities can be gracefully reoriented. Never regret getting old. You have to gracefully get old, because getting old also is a privilege which is denied to many who are born as human beings. Everybody don't age. I hope you understand what I mean. So, and the ability to handle adverse situations. And life is influenced by comparing with others. Comparison creates all the complications in life. And now I'll answer the question which I asked myself. Your job or profession or vocation is the rubber ball. Whereas family relations, health, value system, these are glass balls. Which means if the glass balls slip, you neglect them, you ignore them, and they break. It cannot, even if you patch it up, it may not be the same again. Health also, credibility also, goodwill also, image also. So therefore, those three are glass balls. Job, rubber ball, even if it slips, you can bounce back. You can retrieve it. You can change it also if required. But in real life, introspect and see how much importance you are giving to rubber ball, what effort you are taking to take care of the rubber ball. I am not saying for a moment rubber ball is not important. All that I am trying to say is don't take care of it, attend to it, overdo it at the cost of the glass balls. By being indifferent to the glass balls, strike a balance. In fact, let me put a positive statement. If you can take care of the glass balls properly, it will give you enormous energy to handle the rubber ball easily. You will be most successful in handling the rubber ball. So that is the positive approach one has to do. And now the philosophy is, young age, yes, you will have time, energy, but you should not have money. Elderly age, yes, you will have time and money, you will not have energy. I mean, you cannot. And middle age, my request is your prime age, please don't say you have only energy and money, don't have time. Time for what? Time for taking care of the glass balls. So tick all the three, then you will not be found wanting happiness. In fact, you need not search for happiness. Actually, you will evolve to a level where you will not regret on what you don't have. You will not compare with others. You will celebrate what you possess and be grateful to what you are blessed with. The reward for being grateful is you will be blessed with more and more to be grateful for. So that is the journey of life. And God, your life is not filled. The book of your life is not filled. All chapters are not written. All pages are not written. Some are written based on destiny, karma, or whatever God desires. He allows you to write the remaining pages not filled. If you are dedicated, if you are focused, and if you have your own serious way of handling things, God even sometimes erases what He wrote and allows you to rewrite whatever way you want it, certain adverse pages. That is how I co-author the enchanting journey of life. And can we have this video played? Can I click it or? Yeah, you can click it. With this video, I'll conclude my presentation, if you don't mind. Oh, sorry. Can you play? You have to click here. Not going? Okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Actually, this video is meant for let me convey what I wanted to convey through this video, irrespective of whether it plays or not. See, we evolve as human beings in search of happiness, and we think when we are happy, that is the purpose of life. In fact, I also quoted, happiness indicates you are successful in life. But this video is going to demonstrate to you the real happiness is in making others happy. You will derive happiness.
เขาจะได้อะไรถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวัน
Okay. Yeah. 'Concluding remarks will take 2-3 minutes. Okay.
เขาจะไม่ได้อะไรเลย ไม่ได้รวยขึ้น ไม่ได้ออกทีวี ไม่มีใครรู้จัก ไม่ได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้น เพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้คือได้แค่ความรู้สึกได้เห็นความสุขได้เข้าใจได้ความรักได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิมในชีวิตคุณอะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด
At the end of this video, I want to say only 2 things. We cannot help everyone, but each one can help at least someone in life. And when you find happiness in others, that is the greatest happiness you can derive. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, life by itself has no meaning. Life itself is no meaning. Life is only an opportunity for us to give it a meaning. How best you give it a meaning depends on what you do. First 25 years or so we learn, next 35 years or so we earn, but life becomes more meaningful when you share what you have learned and what you have earned to those who are in need of it. And that is the crux of life. And if that is done, if every Indian has this philosophy and does it, then the India itself on a collective basis, cumulative basis will become a happy nation. And this is the prediction. It's not my prediction, it is what I am drawing from across the global experts who have said about India. Look at what McKinsey CEO says. So that is what I would like to put. 19th century belonged to Europe, 20th century belonged to US, 21st century must belong to India, and it will belong to India, and we must all collectively make it happen. In fact, Martin Luther King I have a dream speech. Many of you would have listened. Otherwise, you can Google and listen. There he says, I want my 4 little children to live in a country where they are not judged by the color of their skin, but judged by the content of their character. So it is against the racism. But his dream got fulfilled beyond measure because an American-born African could become the president of America, isn't it? So Barack Obama could become the president, which was unthinkable in the olden days, in Martin Luther. So I have a dream. I'm not Martin Luther King. I have a dream for India, but you need not be Martin Luther King. Every citizen of India can have a dream for his own country. So my dream is, with all these reforms culminating into the growth trajectory of India, I would like to visualize a day in 2040s or 50s where 1 rupee will be equivalent to $1 US. And by the time that happens, in America, outside Indian embassies, Americans will have to stand in queue to obtain visa to visit India. But all this is subject to one reservation. All these developed economies, if you see, America, Europe, all of them have paid a heavy price to become developed nations. What price they have paid? They have destroyed institutions, family as an institution, marriage as an institution, respect for source of knowledge, teachers, elders. India should preserve all this and then become a developed country. Even if it takes twice the time, doesn't matter, slow and steady. Elephant can dance at its own convenience by preserving India's rich tradition and culture. So with these positive thoughts, I think there is a video which Balveer wants to play. Because Airbus contract, after that there was an advertisement that was released, which is very impressive and touching. Sit there and watch. Okay.
Hyderabad Tower, Air India Jet 108. Permission to take off, please, over.
Air India 108, Hyderabad Tower, clear for takeoff, 31 left.
Remembering the visionary. Remembering his legacy. Remembering the world-class service. Remembering the excellence. Remembering the golden age of Indian aviation. You pioneered aviation in India. Connected people and places. It's time. You pioneer the future once again. With the best aircraft family in the world. Reimagine the future of Indian aviation to connect India at home and to the world. Thank you, Air India, for choosing us. Let's pioneer Indian aviation together.
Okay. Please hold your applause. Don't clap yet. Would you have ever expected a man who's a chartered accountant all his life, he's a chairman of a bank, ending his address with the message about spirituality, philosophy of life, secret of happiness. This can only happen in a Finnovators conference. And we heard applauses right from the first speaker. You clapped for multiple things. It was not the investor that was clapping in you. It is a patriot in you that was clapping. Correct. Your investment happiness, you started clapping for yourself the day you became a Finnovators customer. You're clapping for the pride and the love you have for your country. And that patriot in you kept on applauding the leaps and bounds that we are making our progress in. Right? And after hearing such amazing, illuminating, enlightening thoughts, one really has no doubts as to why such luminaries and such inspiring personalities are honored with Padmashri, because they're a true patriot. All of you are patriots. Let's give a standing ovation to this patriot.
No. Thanks.
Mr. Manoharan,
Thank you.
it was inspiring, it was hair-raising,
Thanks.
and your address will be etched in our hearts and minds forever. Request Nipa Khatri to kindly come and present a token of appreciation to Mr. T N Manoharan.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So extremely gracious of you. Yeah, a small token of appreciation. Thank you, sir, and we hope to have you in our further sessions. This is the beauty of confluence of innovators, and I'm sure down the line our customers are going to ask you to have it at least twice in a year to start with. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your invaluable time and truly, truly inspiring words. Thank you.